Realme has launched a brand new phone in 2020 called the Realme 5i, which is a budget offering that replaces the Realme 5 and sits below the Realme 5S in the company's smartphone lineup. Now, we've reviewed the phone and it's fared pretty well. However, is it the best budget phone you can get under 10,000 rupees? Now let's look at the competition. We have the Redmi 8 that's slightly cheaper than the 5i, but if you compare both phones spec by spec, the 5i clearly offers much better value. Now going up a bit in price, if you put in 1,000 rupees more, you get the Redmi Note 8, which offers you features such as a USB Type-C port, a glass back, and even a Full HD Plus display, all for a bit more money. So the big question really remains, is the Realme 5i the best value offering under 10,000 rupees, or does it really make sense to put in just 1,000 rupees more and pick up the Redmi Note 8? We decided to find out. Now before we go ahead, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and also hit that bell icon so you're the first to know whenever we have a new video. The Realme 5i's back is made of laminated plastic and it uses the new sunrise design pattern, which looks quite good. We like it because the matte finish isn't too reflective and it also doesn't attract fingerprints very easily. The Redmi Note 8 on the other hand is slimmer and lighter, and it has a premium look and feel thanks to the Gorilla Glass 5 used at the back. However, the Redmi Note 8's glass back also attracts fingerprints quite easily. Now, face and fingerprint recognition were quick on both phones. However, we did find the Realme 5i to be a tad quicker at both. The fingerprint sensor on the Redmi Note 8 is also a little small, so it isn't as easy to hit as the one on the 5i. Now, both phones have a dedicated microSD card slot for expansion and a 3.5mm headphone socket. The Redmi Note 8 scores a few extra points here as it has a Type-C port versus the micro USB port on the 5i. The Redmi Note 8 also has an IR blaster on the top, which the 5i lacks. Now, while the display sizes for both smartphones are fairly similar, the Redmi Note 8 offers a higher resolution Full HD Plus display as opposed to the HD Plus screen on the Realme 5i. The Redmi Note 8's display also offers better sharpness and image quality, which is evident when you look at images and video of the two phones side by side. Now, on the Redmi Note 8, you'll be able to stream Full HD videos from YouTube and other sources too, which looks crisp and vivid. The 5i can only stream up to 720p resolution from YouTube, and videos looked a little choppy at times. Now, the speakers on both phones don't have any semblance of bass. However, we did find the Realme 5i to have a slightly louder sounding speaker. Realme's ColorOS has become more like stock Android over the years, and the version on the 5i has an app drawer and a system-wide dark mode as well. Now, there are plenty of pre-installed apps from Realme and third-party vendors. Thankfully, Realme's OS doesn't spam you too much with ads or unwanted notifications. The spammy notifications that do come in from apps can be disabled. The Redmi Note 8 runs on MIUI 11, which is also based on Android 9 Pie. The interface is polished and you get plenty of options for customizing the look and feel of the UI. The problem with MIUI is that you get a lot of unwanted ads that spam your notifications shade and within the stock apps too, which isn't easy to stop. This can get very annoying after a while. Now, both phones ship with a Snapdragon 665 processor and 4GB of RAM and 64GB of storage in the base variant. As everyday workhorses, the Realme 5i and the Redmi Note 8 did a decent job in handling multitasking and both loaded apps fairly quickly in our tests. The Realme 5i performs slightly better in games due to the lower resolution display. The Redmi Note 8 is not bad either, but we had to scale down the graphics settings a bit in games such as PUBG Mobile in order to get similar frame rates. We didn't notice any heating issues on either of the phones. The Realme 5i is clearly better than the Redmi Note 8 when it comes to battery life. Not only is the capacity higher, but it also lasted a lot longer than the Redmi Note 8 in our HD video loop test. Now, both phones will easily last you through an entire workday on a single charge, even with heavy usage, but the Realme 5i will let you go for a bit longer before having to recharge it. The Redmi Note 8 offers a much quicker 18-watt fast charging compared to the slower 10-watt charging on the 5i. Now, both the phones feature a single selfie camera and 4 rear cameras. The primary sensors are the only real big differentiating factor here. The Realme 5i has a 12 megapixel sensor while the Redmi Note 8 features a 48 megapixel one. The The rest of the sensors are pretty similar on both phones. In daylight, the Redmi Note 8 did a better job with landscapes, capturing better dynamic range, details, and white balance. It did over-sharpen images, but as long as you don't crop them in too much, you should be fine. The shot from the Realme 5i was comparatively softer and didn't quite correct the yellowish tone in front of the buildings. Even in close-up shots, the Redmi Note 8 managed better contrast and whites looked as they should. The Realme 5i once again had a slightly softer image with a warmer color tone. When shooting with portrait mode, the Redmi Note 8 produced more natural-looking skin tones and better detail on our subject. The 5i tended to smoothen the skin a bit too much, and the tone was a bit too warm for our liking. Edge detection was handled decently on both phones. As for the wide-angle cameras, we found that the Realme 5i did a much better job with details and colors. Using the night modes on both phones, the Redmi Note 8 continued to deliver better overall pictures with sharper and better details and lesser noise. The Realme 5i also crops the images heavily in this mode to compensate for handshake, so you get less of the scene in your frame. However, when it came to the macro cameras, it was the Redmi Note 8 that managed better details. Now, the Realme 5i did a slightly better job with selfies, as HDR on this phone worked better than Xiaomi's implementation, especially when shooting against the light. Portrait mode on the selfie camera worked well on both phones, but the Redmi Note 8 produced slightly sharper and more vivid pictures. Even selfies shot with the Redmi Note 8 in less than ideal light looked a bit better. Video recording went up to 4K on both phones, but neither one supports stabilization at this resolution. Video quality was also good, and colors looked punchy in footage shot with both phones. Videos are stabilized at 1080p, and here the Realme 5i offers slightly better stabilized footage compared to the Redmi Note 8. The wide-angle cameras on both phones can be used to shoot videos too, and here the Redmi Note 8 offered better colors, but the 5i did a better job with stabilization. For videos shot at night, the Redmi Note 8's output had lesser noise at 1080p compared to the Realme 5i. However, at 4K resolution, both phones produced a lot of color noise, making the footage somewhat unusable. Realme has once again modified its formula just a little bit to create yet another very good budget smartphone. The Realme 5i's tweaked design looks good, and its asking price of 8,999 rupees for the sole 4GB RAM variant offers good value. Plus, the relatively lean software, excellent battery life, and decent gaming performance all work in its favor. Now, a few areas where the 5i could have been better was if Realme would have included a USB Type-C port or even maybe fast charging. Now, asking for a Full HD Plus display at this price might be a bit too much, but this is where paying that 1,000 rupees more for the Redmi Note 8 makes a lot of sense. Now, there's no clear-cut winner here, that's for sure. If you wish to save a bit of money, then the Realme 5i is a good option. Else, for a bit more, you can get a more premium experience with the Redmi Note 8. So thanks for watching, and for all things tech, log on to gadgets360.com.